Good afternoon all. So in previous lecture we had discussed with amphimixis. You know that the the nucleus, the chromosomes of both sperm and ovum are mating together known as amphimixis. Last we had discussed with that. Now let us continue with sperms are added with ZP3 receptor or region of ZP. You know that the outer layer of the cytoplasmic membrane, okay, that layer is known as zona pellucida, the jelly-like layer. So first of all, the sperms are adhered, means sperm is attached. Sperms are attached to the thick layer. Adhere means joined with ZP3, zona pellucida 3 receptors or region of the zona pellucida. Sperm releases acrosine or zona lysine enzyme. As you know that the acrosome release the hyaluronidase enzyme. So the sperm release zona lysine or acrosine enzyme. After fertilization, from perivitelline layer fertilization membrane is formed. So after fertilization membrane formation, it prevents the entry of sperm. So it prevents polyspermy. Only one sperm is able to enter inside the ovum. So more number of sperms are entered inside the ovum than leads to multiple fusion. But it is prevented by fertilization membrane. So main important thing, fertilization membrane can prevent the polyspermy. Sperm enter inside the ovum. That method is by phagocytosis. Okay, sperm enters in ovum. The process is by phagocytosis. In mammals, what sperm is able is enter inside the ovum. Now, after fertilization, you know that cleavage occurs. Cleavage means division in the zygote. So, zygote undergoes now mitotic division. So, the cleavage word is given by von Baer, scientist. Okay, cleavage word is given by von Baer, scientist. Fertilized egg. After fertilization, the fertilized egg is known as activated egg. Cell division occur here without changing its size. So, during cleavage, size isn't altered. Cleavage is also known as segmentation. But remember, very interesting thing is this. During cleavage, blastomeres. So each and every stage during the division, that is during the cleavage, 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell, 16 cell stage is known as blastomere. So each and every 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 cell stage is known as blastomere, but 8 to 16 cellular stage is known as morula stage, and 32 cellular stage is known as blastocyst. Okay, so please remember all these sentences. each stage, each cellular stage during cleavage that means 2, 4, 8, 16 like that. Known as blastomere. So it is very interesting to know that during formation of each blastomere, the zygote move towards the uterus, because you know that at ampullary isthmus site, fertilization occurs, fine, and then cleavage starts. So during cleavage, 2, 4, 8, 16 celled stage. So one by one blastomere move towards the uterus. 8 to 16 celled stage in the zygote known as morula stage. And 32 cell stage is known as blastula stage. But in this blastula stage, cyst is formed. It is known as blastocyst. Cyst means round in shape. So 32 cellular stage is known as blastula stage. In that blastomere is there in the blastula stage, and it is in proper round in shape. Fine. That's why it is known as blastocyst. And blastocyst consists two types of the cells: periphery side trophoblast and central side embryonic cells. In cleavage, interface is short. In cleavage, interface is short. Only S phases are present, and karyoplasmic index increases. Karyoplasmic means the amount of the nucleus and the cytoplasm gradually increases. Whereas in normal mitotic division, karyoplasmic index remains constant. Okay, so this is about the major difference between the cleavage and mitotic division. The fate of blastomere is not fixed, is not determinate, definite. It means that from the blastomeres, which part of the body is formed, it is not definite. These are totipotent in early stage of embryo. Totipotent matlab, totipotent means formation of whole body from one cell. Only one cell has efficiency to produce the whole organism. That ability or that capacity is known as totipotency. So this type of the cleavage is known as indeterminate cleavage, and it is found in humans. So in humans, from embryo, which cells form the which part of the body, it is not defined. According to the Balfour named scientist, the rate of the cleavage is inversely proportional to the amount of egg present in the egg. So if more amount of yolk is there, rate of cleavage decreases. The size of the blastomere, each blastomere is the same in all the stage. That is known as equal holoblastic. Fine. In morula stage, you know that 8 to 16 cellular stage is known as morula stage. So in morula stage, embryo is look like in morula stage, the embryo is look like mulberry. The cells of trophoblast connected to the embryo cells the cells of the trophoblast which is connected to the cell of the embryo. Fine. So that special type of the cells are known as cells of trophoblast. blastocyst gets attached with the uterine endometrium in about 4 days after entering in the uterus. Generally, when the blastocyst is reached to the uterus, so generally what happened? The periphery trophoblast cells generally secrete the nutritive components inside the blastocyst. So, by these nutritive components, from that embryo gets nourishment. So, initially, the blastocyst is not connected to the maternal blood. That's why it requires nutrients. So trophoblast cells secrete the nutrients and give the nourishment to the embryonic cells. But when the blastocyst is reached to the uterus, so trophoblast secrete the specialized enzymes, and due to that secretion of the specialized enzymes, the little bit amount of the endometrium is digested, and then embryo push down into the uterine wall. Then this blastocyst is attached to the myometrium, and then this ruptured endometrium, the partial ruptured of that endometrium is reformed, and in this way the embryo is totally covered by the uterine wall. That procedure is known as implantation procedure. So implantation generally implantation occurs at the mid dorsal or the main fundus part of the uterus. Generally, implantation of the blastocyst takes place about 7 to 8 days after fertilization. So after fertilization, within the 1 week, the blastocyst is implanted into the uterus. But on the 12th day, by the 12th day, it is completely buried. It is completely buried in the wall of the uterus. In the wall of the uterus, the embryo enters. At that place, it is completely covered by the fibrous and cellular plug that is known as closing coat adutum. After fertilization, zona pellucida prevents implantation of the blastocyst at an abnormal site. Okay, let us discuss with the next topic. After replantation, the endometrium is known as decidua. In the beginning of the gastrula stage, the rate of cleavage division is slow and ultimately it is stopped at the end of the gastrula stage. Gastrula stage is the most important stage of the embryonic development because two main events occur here. That first event is known as differentiation of blastomere and morphogenetic movement. Differentiation of blastomere in that the blastomere is differentiated and produce three germinal layers. You know that we are triploblastic, ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. And here the formation of these three germinal layers is very important in this event because from these three germinal layers the whole body is generated. Morphogenetic movement in that amoeboic movement start organogenesis starts. Means development of the organ, synthesis of organ is start. Here much more energy is utilized in this stage. Respiration rate is higher here. So here enormous energy is required there, and here respiratory activity starts. So this is about the gastrula stage. So here I can stop now. Thank you very much to all students. With another thing we will meet in the next lecture. Thank you very much to all. See you in next one.